Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So I saw these images. This is Shelton's AI artwork. And you can see this gentleman dedicated some time to making some really provocative and beautiful image of black women cast as various heroes. We can see here, this is Batgirl, obviously. This is Wonder Woman, although we do have Nubia that exists already. But perhaps this is her, a rendition of her. And of course, the black girl, Supergirl. And it really gets us thinking. Like, I've heard some really negative things directed towards us or our community when we see the heroes getting changed. And the primary thing about it is we don't need to just inherit existing heroes and have them be colorized as black. That really doesn't do much for us. When we looked at how we wrote ancient stories, if you haven't checked out the Book of Memnon or the Shades of Memnon, it's important because this was about a character who reflected what our culture was, what our community was. These characters, while these images look great, don't necessarily reflect us. And it's kind of building this narrative that somehow we need to take heroes from other people when we don't. We develop great characters ourselves. We have a long history of creativity, and the type of deities that we worship were really different than what you saw in Roman culture, or Eastern European culture, or Western culture for that matter. So why do we need to focus on taking someone else's character when we could easily create our own characters? So while I love these images, I want to stay on the message of beating the drum of let's develop our own characters. We don't need to replace any characters. We don't need Idris Elba to be James Bond. We can create a character for Idris Elba. He's a great actor. And we have lots of creativity in our writing community. So we really don't need that. That's not the issue. The issue isn't that we need Superman or Batman or Batgirl, any of them now be black. What we need to do is develop our own characters. It's an interesting thing. I heard the actress Michelle Rodriguez, who was out in public drunk, like we've seen her a lot, and she said, "Stop stealing all the white characters." And I was horribly insulted because I've supported her movies, and it's like the people who make decisions about what characters become colorized. I don't know if you guys remember that term, but these typically aren't people from our community who make these decisions. But you can see where the vitriol goes with it. So I'm behind the push of let's we don't need your heroes. We can develop our own heroes. We have great production capacity. If we think about very successful people in the industry, like the guy who does the Medea movies has great ability, capacity to produce characters. And I know he's been on a different track. Medea is kind of a hero of her own to some people, but let's kind of start looking at some really good characters. We've introduced Munthru, who was a black character developed by one of our friends and author. So there's lots of characters out there, and so my debate is, or my issue, my part in the debate is, we don't need these images. Oh, it looks great. I mean, that's got to be one of the baddest Supergirls I've ever seen. She is just ripped and banging. But ultimately, it doesn't do us any good to just take and recycle their heroes and put them in our image when we can develop our own images and reflect our own character and our own culture. That's just my two cents in on it.